No, I just want to welcome you and let everybody know kind of how we became acquainted with them. We were at Folk Market in October and we met them and just started brainstorming some ideas. And we thought one really great benefit to you all being participating shops would be if we could work together and give you some of the free education because we know social media is so important and it's like Raquel said, changes all the time. Like you think you have it figured out, and then something changes. And so we're just really excited to be able to give this to you guys. And again, thank you, Raquel, and we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We are also really excited about this. So I think, it's just wild how much the landscape has honestly changed. I mean, I look at, I've been with Sew and Back Media for 5 years. And, when I first came on with them, our clients, they're mostly brick and mortar. They sell machines and fabric. And, our job was to get people into the stores. That was literally it. Like it was like, hey, you get them into the stores, everything else will sell itself. We'll sell machines and fabric from foot traffic coming in and out. And that was great. I was like, okay, cool. That was a pretty easy job for us to do. And then the pandemic comes. And literally post pandemic, everything's changed in like what our clients are wanting from us, right? And what people are trying to do to keep their business alive. And foot traffic is no longer the primary objective for a lot of the companies that we work with. They're like, we got to sell machines online, we got to sell fabric online, we got to do all these different things. And so we really had to kind of innovate and figure out how to help, these stores be able to do that. And so Reels has kind of video content in general has become so important in that because now you're competing against some of your big box stores, you're competing against other people online, that wouldn't have necessarily been your competitor, before the pandemic, right? So everything in our landscape is changing. So our team is constantly trying to find ways to innovate and find ways to get viewership without always having to pay tons and tons and tons of advertising money. Um, Unfortunately, that advertising money is generally the fastest way to get in front of people. But there are things you can do when you don't have a budget that's endless and you don't want to throw lots of cash at it. And video content and reels kind of is that solution in a lot of ways because, Facebook well, Meta, Facebook and Instagram are really competing for the traffic of TikTok. TikTok was really the innovator in short form video content. And, Facebook and Instagram are really, they're chasing that. They don't want to give that traffic to TikTok. So how do they compete with that? They basically are giving more viewership to keep people on their platform. So you get more views, more engagement, more, organic, meaning unpaid benefit than you normally would with just like a post or whatever that, we've all been doing for, almost 10 years. So that's why this is so important. And hopefully during this class, I can kind of make it feel a little bit less scary. I think a lot of the clients that I work with, they're kind of just scared of reels. It feels intimidating and it feels like it's so incredibly difficult. And then you have people that are like, I don't want to show my face on camera. Okay, that's okay. Guess what? You can do that. And there's lots of the ways to put out great content. There's ones where you're connecting and you're building that relationship. That probably requires an on-camera appearance. But there's a million different ways to just put the spotlight on your products, on other educational pieces that don't require necessarily for you to be, on camera all the time. So it can be a mix. But today's class, we're going to focus a lot on kind of like not doing on camera type of reels. That's, I figured for a lot of people, this is kind of the part where they don't know what to do. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on. But a lot of the things that we're talking about, you could, put in your video content of you as well. So anyways, we're going to get into it. So I'm going to share my screen here with you guys and let's have some fun. One other thing I did want to say too, before we get into it, I am so thankful. Thank you so much for everybody who sent out questions to us. I took those questions, and those questions really kind of led the way on how I was taking so much information and putting it into such a short, condensed kind of class. So I really appreciate it. There were some questions that I couldn't answer without more context to what they were really asking. So at the end of this, we are going to send this presentation out, though, so our email, our contact information, everything will be in here. On the ones that I didn't answer, that I needed more information, I'll just email you, because I want to make sure like you took the time to ask us a question. I want to make sure that I can understand what you're asking and give you the right answer. So just wanted to say that little piece before we got started. So awesome. Well, let's go back in here, and I am going to go into present mode. So and bear with me on this fun technology here. All right, cool. All right, okay, let's get started. We already did a little bit of an introduction, so we're gonna just skip on past that one. Okay, things that we're going to be talking about today. One of the questions I got asked over and over and over again is about equipment needed. I'm going to tell you kind of what I use. When I send this presentation out, I'm going to link you out to Amazon. The equipment that I use, there's so many different variations, but the equipment that I use is actually really basic. You really don't need some super fancy, crazy equipment. You really don't. Any iPhone, any, ring light cam, some microphones. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk a lot about the social media algorithm. I think it's important that everybody understands how it works and what you can do to, boost your views, and then things that you can do that'll actually can kind of take down, your viewership. So we'll talk about that. Video length and dimensions. I have lots of questions around that. So we'll talk about that. Generally speaking, what makes a good reel, things that you should think about when you're getting into content creation, just general best practices. And then my personal favorite is leveraging artificial intelligence, templates, all the really cool technology that's out there. It's really made our jobs so incredibly easy if you just know how to, utilize that technology. So that's what's on the agenda today. And then of course, we will leave some time for some Q&A. So we will do that as well. So let me go on. All right. So before we really get into it, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page with, you hear people, they'll call them reels, they'll call them short form video content, they'll call them TikToks. They're all the same thing. I mean, essentially, TikTok has just become, when people use TikTok as, what how they're describing it, it's really just a short form video content, unless it's actually on the platform, that it is actually a TikTok. But it gets used all the time, even when people are referring to content that's on Facebook or on Instagram. Shorts is, typically tied to YouTube. YouTube has also entered the game. Everybody wants to compete with TikTok. I don't think these, it used to just be Meta and Google. Those were your big players in the social media scene. TikTok pretty much came out of nowhere and is really taking up a lot of of that that viewership and that attention. And so everybody is kind of trying to get in that race and excuse me, and compete for our attention. And this content can be made up of multiple things. It could be just shot on your phone. It could be you talking. It could be videos that you've shot of your product, of whatever it is that that you're trying to highlight. Or it could be photos. Some people will take photos and you can animate them, make them move. You can utilize them almost just like a video. That seems to be a really common practice, especially in our industry. With fabric companies that we work with that are trying to, showcase, like a spring collection. That's really popular with a lot of people that we work with, or, whatever season it is. New fabric that comes in is really big for reels. So it can really be, a compilation of those things. It could be, any of those things by themselves. There's lots of different things that we can do, to put together, a really awesome reel. So Just if you hear us say reels or shorts or TikToks, it's all essentially the same thing, just depends on what platform it's put on. And this one, as if you guys really need me to sell you on why reels are important. Obviously, you guys know that because you're here. But these are some stats that I've gathered, that I find some of them really interesting. There's a couple on here that I'm going to hit a little bit heavily on because, in my opinion, they're probably two of the most important. So I'm going to start with those. The first one is the 80% of viewers will finish a video if they have subtitles turned on. That one to me is such an interesting stat. And a lot of times I question stats. I'm like, who did they survey? Like, how did you arrive at that? This all came from different marketing publications that we subscribe to. But this one I actually really do wholeheartedly believe. If you think about your own viewing, behaviors and, what you do when you're watching stuff, there's something about, well, first of all, a lot of people watch videos silently. So, we're all watching videos at times. Maybe we shouldn't be. We're laying in bed, our partner's sleeping. People take the phone with them to the bathroom. People are sitting in meetings. They want to follow along. They want to stick with what they're watching, but they can't turn the sound on. So that's really common behavior. So you do actually want to, pay attention to that. If you're, recording a video that's like, little bit lengthy in what you're explaining or anything like that, you definitely turn those subtitles on, because now we're catering to those people that are watching the videos silently. Even if they turn on the volume, it just kind of helps comprehension, and it just, there's something that just grabs that attention in, I think, a much more impactful way. So this is one that is really, really important. All of the apps that I'm going to show you guys today, they all do that. It is very easy to turn on subtitles. A lot of these tools will use AI. They'll bring in your subtitles, and then you still want to read it. There's only been a couple of times that I'm like, wow, that got that 100% correct. They've gotten better. There was a time that it was a nightmare to add subtitles to our videos, but these tools, thanks to AI, have really, really improved, and it's made it very, very easy to add those. So definitely, when you do your videos, if it's long, definitely turn those subtitles on. The other stat in here that I really want to highlight that I think is also super important is is adding your location tags. So location tags, what it basically does, excuse me, is it tells the platform where you're at. And the one thing that the algorithm really likes to do is they love to serve content to that local area. And the reason being is that they know that that's going to be more interesting to you. We tend to care more about things that are in our community. And so they know that, and their goal, because, like I mentioned earlier, they're competing for attention, right? They don't want you to be on TikTok. They want you to be on, the Meta product. So what are they going to do? They're going to try their very best to serve you content that's going to keep you on that platform. And one of those things that they know is they know that people care about their local community. They care about things that are going on there. So adding that location tag, it is super simple. As soon as you go in to post the reel, what will happen is you'll have all these little options, and it'll just say location. And you just click that, and then you can choose what you're going to put. It'll populate locations that are near you. It'll generate that off the map. But, and let's say that maybe, you're traveling, you're on vacation, and you're posting your scheduling content out. You might be in Cancun at the moment that you're posting, but your brick and mortar, your store, is in Salt Lake City. You could just go in and you would just, type in Salt Lake City and tag that to the location, and it would be relevant to that area. So super important stuff with that. Those two things will really help maximize what you're getting in terms of viewership. But people love this type of content. 85% of marketers, consider short form content is the most successful content that they're putting out. I would definitely agree with that. There's a lot that we can do with this type of reels. for us, one things that we do a lot with our clients is, they'll shoot this content, they'll post it, on their social media channels, and then we'll take that content and turn it into a paid advertisement. So we can grab that reel that's, it's going to get all of its organic, natural engagement, but we take that reel and we can put a little bit of ad spend on it and really help give it the firepower that it needs to reach an even bigger audience. So lots of really great things, that can be done with this content, but people love, they're addicted. I mean, there's actual like one of the trending TikToks that's going on right now is TikTok addiction. People are talking about it. It's a real thing. People, the way that their algorithm works, it sucks people in. It really does. And the reason for that is just, really based on the fact that, their algorithm is super, super powerful, which is what we're going to talk about next. So you'll hear me talk a lot about it. Like AI, I feel like has kind of become like the buzzword, honestly, for 2024. Everything is powered by artificial intelligence now. And it's really it's improved the algorithms for the social media like platforms. It's improved tools that we use in our everyday lives. Artificial intelligence is not going away. It's just you have to learn how to harness it and how to utilize it, to your benefit. But as far as, these platforms go, it's taking into account all these different things that you're doing online. It's the biggest one that it's going to take into consideration when it decides what content am I going to put out to this unique user. It's first of all, it's looking at, what are you searching for? You go to TikTok, like, so for me, I'm in the middle of, planning out my backyard. We have a unlandscaped backyard. I want to put a fire pit in, and I've been looking at all these DIY ways to do it to keep the cost down and stuff. And so my content in my TikTok feed is all about backyard renovation. One video after another video after another video, and they'll slide a few things in there. It's not to say that it's going to be all about fire pits. They're really smart and they kind of take into account things that are related to that. So what you're watching or what your customers are watching, it really does play into what you're going to be served next in your feed. And so what you're liking, so if you're watching a TikTok, you like it or you comment on it, for better for worse. My husband is, one of those ones where he loves to comment on TikToks. He goes in and he's, writing comments. Usually it's him getting into a fight with somebody on TikTok. And it's like the content that he's responding to might not be content that he likes, but he keeps getting more of it because he's commenting on it. And so it's just like it can work in your favor or it can work against you. But just kind of knowing how that works, that helps you as a business owner. The more content that you put out, the algorithm will help these platforms send that content. So if you go out and you put a reel about maybe you're teaching how to get started in quilting, or you're talking about new fabric lines that you got in, whatever it is, the platforms will help find people that are interested in that. And there's things that you can do that we'll talk about in a minute, but put the content out there. It all starts with just like, don't be afraid of putting out content. I mean, honestly, that people ask me all the time, like they're like, oh, like I just, I don't feel like I can put out quality content. It doesn't have to be this Hollywood produced crazy, like very perfect content. In fact, like if you watch a lot of like Facebook lives, Facebook lives are really big in our industry too. A lot of our clients do it. A lot of people in the industry do it. It's basically the same thing. People, they have technical problems, they, forget what they're talking about. It's so natural and people understand that. And I think in a way that authenticity is really meaningful, and people aren't judging it like, oh gosh, this is horrible. Now, things that, could maybe get people to think it's horrible is like, if the lighting's not very good, if it's not mic'd very well, if they can't understand what you're saying, or maybe the quality of the video is just, really low quality. So you can basically, we talked about kind of ways that you can bring up your visibility, ways that you can actually get deprioritized from the algorithm is low quality content. So blurry, not sized properly. The other one that's really big that I think a lot of people just never thought about is, you go to TikTok and you create this TikTok and it's awesome. It's, people are loving it, you're getting all the views, and you're like, hey, I want to take that video and I want to basically share that now over to my Facebook page or YouTube or wherever you want to send it to. The problem with that is most of those times it's going to have the TikTok logo in your handle at the bottom of the page. Well, thank you, AI. The different platforms can actually read all of that. They know that that came from TikTok. They know that the TikTok watermark is, on the video, and it has your handle and all the things. So they're not in the business of giving TikTok free advertising space. They're trying to compete with them. So they will deprioritize that content. They can't legally completely just block it, right? Like it's just they can't do that. So they have their own way of basically they're not going to give it the amount of love that they would give it if you posted it, without the logo. You could take the same content. It's not that you can't take the same content, you can, but they need to be done in separate posts without any watermarks so that you're not giving that free advertising space to their competitors. So just thinking about that when you're doing your content, because one of the other questions that people ask a lot is, how do I schedule this content out on, all the platforms? And there are a lot of really good tools to do that. Most of them are paid, but I'll talk a little bit, about, how to schedule those out with regards to Meta. Meta has a tool. It's a content planner. It's excellent, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that, and I'll show that after this presentation, so you can kind of see how at least to schedule it, for Facebook and Instagram through their free tools. If you want to do them all, you have to basically go get something like Later or Hootsuite or Buffer. There's a whole bunch of actual content schedulers out there. There's also a lot of rumors in our industry. I've never been able to decipher if this is actually true or not. But just knowing what I know, there is probably some truth to it. So Facebook and Meta, they basically came out with this content scheduler, and it allows you to schedule your content out on Facebook and Instagram. Because they have skin in the game now, what people were saying is that if you use a Later, a Hootsuite, some type of third-party scheduler, again, they may deprioritize your content because it came from a scheduler and it didn't come from their tool. I don't know if that's true or not, but just, something to just kind of share and something to consider. Their free tool is awesome. I use it every day when I'm planning content, when I'm scheduling content, and reels can actually be scheduled out that way. Same with stories and pretty much any content that you're putting out on Facebook or Instagram. So my recommendation would be, whether that rumor is true or not, if it's a free tool, use it. And it is actually pretty good. So just kind of wanted to share that little piece, and I will show you guys that and how that works. Um, Things to kind of consider when you're getting into that mode and you're like, okay, great, I've got up the confidence, I'm going to create this content, I'm going to start making reels, we've got the buy-in. There's things that I want you to think about when it comes to that time, is like, and I think the most important is, what is your purpose? Why are you posting this? Are you trying to sell a product? Are you trying to build brand awareness? Is your aim to kind of entertain, get people to laugh, evoke some type of emotion, or educate? Those are the main, probably the top reasons that people create reels. But really thinking about your purpose and knowing what is it that you want to get out of this reel. Some people are just kind of like, they get in this mode where it's like, hey, I'm just gonna post to post. They don't really know why they're posting. It's like, well, everybody says that we should be posting. So they say that we should post 10 times a day. So that's what they do. That isn't necessarily best practice. People ask all the time, like, how much should I be posting? What should I be doing? There isn't a magical answer to that question. I wish I could just be like, the formula is, but that's actually not accurate at all. The reality is, the more you're posting, it's the more shots at the basket, right? Every video that you put out will have a reach, right, of who it's being served to based on what it is, and all the other algorithm factors. But so the more you're posting, yes, it's that you're going to get more viewership. However, if you're putting out content that has no purpose, you're just kind of wasting time at that point. It's like, you want to really be thoughtful in the content that you're putting out, and then come up with consistency, because consistency is important. That is definitely coming up with a schedule that is realistic to you and what you can do. Some people have 20 hours a week that they can devote to social media. Some people have 5, right? Whatever it is that you have, create a schedule for yourself and stick to it. And then you can gradually add, maybe you start out at 3 days a week. 3 days a week, you're going to create content and you're going to put it out there. That's your commitment. Go with that for a while. Okay, good. Maybe you've got a little bit of extra time, add some more posts in there. But really think about what your purpose is, because you don't want to train your customers to ignore your content because it doesn't have a purpose. And if you are putting out content that just doesn't have any purpose to it, people will scroll past and they won't click. So really be thoughtful about what you're putting out there, why you're putting it out there. Does that content achieve the goal that you set forth? The other piece into this is essentially, you've got 3 seconds to stop the scroll, and stopping the scroll is 100% your goal. Social media is disruptive content, right? So it's not like Google, where they went to Google, they're searching for you, they know what they're looking for. You're just there, you're just scrolling. Maybe you're looking to see what your friends did like over the weekend. What is your sister up to? You're just looking. And then all of a sudden you're getting served this content from businesses that, you maybe didn't know they existed. Maybe they're businesses that you really like. You've really got that 3 seconds, because if what you're putting out in the first 3 seconds isn't interesting enough, they're just gonna, they're scrolling at freeway speeds, right? You're just scroll, 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 and then it's just like something grabs your attention. And so really thinking about that, like, if you want it to be really impactful, making sure that, when you go in to create your reel, you can change the cover image, you can change like the little thumbnail, making those things that are, bright colored, things that, for this industry, like, fabrics that are really exciting, that people are really into, that's, bright colored, they're going to catch your attention, things like that. Hooks, coming up with like, what is your video about, right? So something that a lot of our customers do is they will do things like, 10 things that are on sale this week at our store. That's a really great kind of reel, because it's easy, right? And so you can do that in a lot of different ways. You could, upload your, photos of these if you didn't want to be on camera, or you could film it and you could walk through the store and be like, this is, this fabric collection. I love this fabric. Here's why. Great. It's, on sale for this price. And then there's a lot that you can do with that. But that kind of a hook and a tagline, right? Like 10 things on store in our sale this week. People are like, oh, okay, let's look at that. What is that going to be? So things like that really do make a big difference when it comes to content creation. The other piece that's super important in here is, making sure that your profile is optimized where it has a link to your website. If you're on Instagram, minus, tagging your products in the shop and or running, ads, you really can't link out very well, right? So how do people know how to get in touch with you or get into that or buy that product or different things. So having a link in your profile where they can click through to your website, or having a link tree that you can basically point everybody back to the bio, and they can click through and be able to find you. So super important. Hashtags are still a thing. I've wondered if hashtags were going to go away, especially with the onset of artificial intelligence being so heavily, involved in, all of these platforms. I wondered if hashtags would go away, but I don't think they have. It seems like hashtags are still working. There are some things to know about hashtags. So in our industry, Google specifically really tries to crack down on spam tactics, right? Well, Facebook, TikTok, Meta in general, they are the same, right? They don't want you to use hashtags that aren't relevant to what is actually in the video. So hashtags, like the way to think about them is like they need to be very relevant to what is in that post. So if your post is about quilting, quilt hashtags make sense. If it's about quilting and you add in some type of random hashtag that's maybe, I don't know, it's just not relevant to what you're doing, it's not going to have that impact. They really do favor pages that follow their guidelines and utilize their tools in the ways that they're intended. Because like you'll see a lot of pages that will, they'll put out their content and they'll just, they'll put the maximum amount of hashtags. So here they are, they've got, 20 hashtags or whatever in their post. Like 3/4 of them are not relevant to that particular post. So they're not going to have the maximum impact. So definitely think about, what you're doing, with your hashtags. So then we're just going to talk about the other thing is dimensions. Definitely size, length, it all matters here. So just wanted to kind of answer some questions around that. So this is kind of your cheat sheet. And like I mentioned, we will send this out to you guys at the end. But the maximum amount of time for TikTok is 10 minutes. It started out at 15 seconds. It's now at 10. Instagram, the maximum amount is 90 seconds. There are some ways to get around it. Like if you upload it, into the app instead of shooting it directly, you can get around it a little bit, but 90 seconds is really, you probably really don't want to go longer than that. Unless you're talking about something super mind blowing. That's really the max. I feel like that people's, really attention span, you really can get it done in 90 seconds. Facebook Reels, same thing. 3 seconds is your minimum, 90 seconds is your max in length. This is another question that a lot of people ask. What is that sweet spot? What is the perfect length of video? My real answer to this is run a test and see how it works for your audience. But like all things, there are stats that have been collected. Generally speaking, if you're after more views, 3 to 10 seconds seems to be, the right amount. People are going to watch it all. It tends to really just work really well when your objective is set for just, hey, I just want maximum views. Conversions are a little trickier. The conversions, you generally, if you're selling a product, it takes a little bit longer. You can't really sell it in 3 seconds. 30 to 60 seconds is what most people are doing for the highest number of conversions. Building connections, that's one where, you probably aren't going to be able to get away with not being on camera. If you're building connections, people want to see you, they want to know your personality, they get to know you. You're really looking more in that 60 to 90 second range. That's, kind of the sweet spot, collectively that we're seeing. This is another question that people ask all the time. And when we send this out, I will link out, excuse me, to these products. These are ones that I personally use and I love them and they're super cheap. The ring light, I think, was like $29 or something like that. It works awesome. It's got a little remote control. You can different settings, tripod, phone hooks right to it, just like you're seeing in the picture. This little mic is really cool too. I have this one as well. I'm not mic'd up today because I'm on my Apple desktop that the audio is actually pretty good. So I don't need it today, but if I am recording something where I'm moving away from the computer or I'm filming something, these can actually just clip right on. They can also clip onto your phone, to serve as like an external mic. So super cool stuff that you can do with that. I personally, I'm Apple all the way. Every electronic in my house is an Apple product. So I prefer an iPhone, as opposed to a Samsung, but that is a personal preference thing. The newer phones obviously have better cameras. So the newer the phone, the better that the camera is going to be, the sound, the functionality in general. But my daughter, I have a 10-year-old who she shoots, does so much on, social media, loves to create content. She's got an iPhone 11 or something. It works just as good as, anything that I feel like I've got. So there's really not, you have to have the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Good if you do, but at least as far down as the 11, it does seem to create really good content. It might not quite be as crisp as, some of these newer cameras, but definitely, it can be done. I know I've kind of got to speed this up a little bit, but just kind of getting into, this is kind of my favorite part of this, is really templates are your best friend. For all of you out there that are like, I don't know what to do, I'm so scared, like, you just don't know how to format it and get it to look the way that you want. That is okay, because thank you to artificial intelligence, which has really been integrated into all of our tools. And, and the people have already done these templates for you. It has made it so much easier. Like, AI has literally made this job so much easier than it's ever been to fast track content. For everything from AI has been helpful to helping write, it can write scripts, it can write, your captions, it can do, it literally can do anything for you if you just kind of know how to utilize it properly. It has, AI is super embedded in video editing, audio editing. There's, some new tools that have been rolled out. They're pretty hit and miss, but if you really focus in and play with them long enough, you can actually get some pretty good content out of them, where you just go in and you say, create me a video about, how to, whatever it is that you want to do, or create me a video about, my new fabric sale that's, happening. You can give it the prompt and it will do its best to basically create a video for you. And then once it creates that video, you can go in and you can actually edit it. It's actually really cool. And we'll show a little bit of that here in just a sec. These are my favorites. And when you get this presentation, they are linked out. So 𝗥𝗾 and 𝗵𝗀 are my two absolute favorites of all of these. I do like 𝗦𝗲𝘄. It's actually been pretty good too. But these two have an amazing selection of templates. And they do have some of those AI tools that I just mentioned. These are great too. They have a lot of those same functionality. 𝗥𝗾 and 𝗵𝗀 both have free versions. So that's the other reason why I like them. I have the paid version. It's $12 a month. To be honest with you, don't know what features are not in the free version versus the pro. So you'll have to play with it. If there's a feature I show you today and you're like, oh my gosh, that's not there, and you're in the free version, if you upgrade to the paid plan, it will be there, and it is $12 a month, and it's month to month. And to me, this is the best $12 that I've spent. So I'm gonna pop out of this mode, and I just want to show you these apps, and before we get into those. So I'm gonna switch the screen that I'm sharing here and come on into this. Are you guys seeing my screen now with Canva? Just to make sure that this is what is showing. Let's see.
Yes, we can see it, or I can see it. So
okay, you can see Canva. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Just wanted to make sure that it moved with me. So, so this is Canva, and Canva is incredible. So I'm just going to come back in from the beginning so you can kind of see some of these tools that are in here. So you basically come in here and you just say, what is it that you want to create, right? So you can do anything. I mean, it's got everything from Instagram video or Instagram, like, you know, photos. It's got its own photo library, like free stock library that you can choose from. There are some videos. It is literally hands down, I think, one of the most just amazing tools that's out there. They also have the AI tools that I mentioned, you know, to you guys, you know, in here as well, where you can actually, tell that what it is that you want, and the AI will come in and it will help. It is absolutely just amazing. Like, let me go into, let me show you some templates first. So coming in here, you just tell it what is it that you want. So Instagram, I want to create an Instagram reel. Cool. And then it's going to give you these suggested templates. So let's just come in here, click this. And so you can basically just come through here and be like, okay, what is it that I'm trying to do? You can get really specific too. And you could put like, oh, I want to create a sell video. I'm just going to click on one of these and show you how easy it is to edit. Let me just see one that's, yeah, this is the one here. So you just go customize this template. Well, it wants to verify that I'm a human. All right, come on. That doesn't usually happen, but there we go. Cool, I'm a human. Great. All right, cool. So let's say that this is something that you wanted to go in and you wanted to do a reel about, you know, your new collection. It's so easy. You just click on this, like, so I'm clicking on the photo that I want to change, click upload. And then these are images that I've, you know, uploaded already, but you can click upload, grab them from your phone, grab them from your computer, wherever you have them saved. So I'm just going to click in this and you can just hover over and drop. And same thing, right? You can just come through and then eventually, you know, you update all this, you update your text, you can change the style, you can change the color, you can change the background, you can change absolutely anything in here. And it's so incredibly cool. And so this is definitely one of my favorite ways when I'm like in a hurry, I'm trying to put out something, you know, for, you know, a product collection that's on sale or new fabric that somebody just got in that they're really excited about and they don't have time to do a live video or they don't have time to record the video content for us. So you can definitely just come in here, you can upload it. If you did record an intro or something about it and you just wanted to add it to the template, same thing, upload files, you would just grab your video, drag it in here, it'll store it in this library, and you can just pick and choose it for any of your projects. So it's really pretty awesome. Then they have some other cool stuff in here. Let me see if I can get to it. Sometimes it's tricky to find where they do it. This is the one that they have these little magic, what would you like me to create? You can come in here and tell it things like, create a bolt of fabric. The more information you give it, the better job that it's going to do. And things to keep in mind, this is super beta. It has just really started evolving. It gets better every day. When this first came out, it was terrible. It's getting better. So it kind of comes in and you can do the same with videos. So you could, you know, come in here and say, create a quilting, let's see, what would I want to do? Create a video about my fabric sale. And then this takes a few minutes, but it will basically take all that information. But the more prompts, the more information you give it, the better it's going to do. But this does really kind of open up some opportunities to create content. And it's really a lot of fun to play with. While it's creating that, I'm actually, just for the sake of time, going to switch over to CapCut and show you a couple things on CapCut as well. But both of these have such amazing templates. If you just spend the time, go through their libraries and how fast you can edit this stuff. And like I said, this is a great way to get started if you're like not posting on social media, let's say a lot, and you want to come in and, you want to do, let's say Instagram, formatted posts. So, okay, Valentine's Day. This is just as an example. It has all of the Valentine's Day type of templates. It has all of the holidays. It has sale templates, so they'd already come in here and they've got all of the different sales that you can come in. And again, you just load it up and plug and play your template, your content in the spot. These guys do have really awesome too. They have elements you can add. They also have their own stock library of videos that you can use royalty free. They have music that you can add, in here as well. Like, so you can kind of see the audio. They have music, that you can add, all royalty free, super cool. It really this really does become kind of an all-in-one. So if you're paying for a stock library or you're paying for an audio library or, whatever it is, this really does have everything. It is by and large my absolute favorite tool. And they have a ton of AI tools that are just really a lot of fun to play with. But coming into CapCut is also very similar to Canva in the way that they have awesome templates for all different types of, videos. These guys tend to have more templates that are aimed for personal projects. Today is my husband's birthday. After this presentation, I'm going to be creating my little happy birthday roast video, and I will be doing that through CapCut. So this tends to work, these templates, I will say, tend to be a little bit more geared towards personal projects, in my opinion, where Canva, I feel like you can find a lot more business type templates. The cool thing about both of these platforms is you don't have to do it on a desktop. I kind of like to do my video editing. I like to do all of my work generally on my iMac, just because I have the big screen. I can be a little bit more attention detailed. It works a little bit better for me, but some people love to just do it from their phone. Canva and CapCut, you can do them 100% just from your phone. So that's just something else that's pretty cool to just kind of know. But that's, this, and this is kind of some of the AI stuff that I was talking about in here. So you can basically come in here, you can grab, whatever files you want. So if I come in here and I say, okay, great, I want to add my fabric collection, select them all, bring it in, and then you can kind of tell them, like, what do you want to do with it? Make a video used for TikTok. These are just prompts, but you can actually come in and tell it anything. So I'm just going to click on the make a video for TikTok. I'm going to come in and I'm going to change the size because I want it to be the 9:16. And it's going to generate. Come on in. I'll do it. Perfect. And then you can pick your template that you want to add it to. It's super fun. I know that we're kind of getting up on time. We've already kind of gone over a little bit, but really fun to play with. It will just kind of automate the process for you. And then if you want to go in and edit it, you just click edit and you can come in and edit to make it the way that you want it. But really fun. Just wanted to kind of show you guys what the possibilities are when it comes to not having to worry about, the content that you're creating. There are ways to kind of help, put these videos together. But with that, I do want to come back over really quick because we are getting close to time, and answer just a couple of questions that we got that weren't really covered in the presentation. Let me show you really fast. The first one is, how do I share my content on Facebook and on Instagram? Let me show you how we do that. So over here, this is our 𝗤𝗏 Media page. The fastest way, there's a couple ways to get here, but the fastest is go like you're going to make a post. Click on the Meta Business Suite. and then it'll pop open the planner. The planner is amazing. You'll come through here, you just hit create post, and then it'll ask you what is it that you want to do. It's running a little slow, but so see right here, it's saying, I'm saying I want to post it to Facebook and Instagram. I also want to customize my post for Facebook and Instagram. So you can basically make different captions. It's going to create a separate post. And so you'll write what you want to write for Facebook Reel, write what you want to write for the Instagram Reel, add your hashtags, all of the things, make sure it's set to public or, not restricted, and then hit publish. You can schedule these ahead of time. That was another question. If you can basically come in here and say, I want to post this on the 30th at this time. It'll also tell you your active times. This is also really nice. I try to schedule my posts out to fit the most active times possible. So that is how you do that. The other question that somebody asked was about, shooting with multiple cameras. There is an app that I think is superior to all the other ones, and it's called Switcher Studio. So that is, a really powerful app. At the end of this too, before I open it up and just see if anybody has any other questions, there is a resource page here. These are links. So I really highly recommend reading the guide for businesses. This is actually really good. It goes into detailed, how to do things step by step. This is what we do. We put together a little DIY Reels ideas for TikTok or, and Instagram. Click through that. There's, a bunch of ideas if you're looking for things that, might, just really resonate with your particular audience. These are just some of the places that we got stats. So that is, everything that I have, for today's presentation. But does anybody have any questions or anything that I didn't answer that they want to know about? Anybody? If not, don't worry. If you don't want to ask it in this forum, you absolutely can email me and I am happy to answer any question that you guys have. If you guys want to talk to us or talk to our team about, we have different services where we can be consultative. We have different services where everything can be done for you. We are going to be putting together some group classes. So if you and a friend and some other people really just want to learn how to do this stuff yourself, we are going to be putting together some group classes and things that will be available here in the very, very near future. But we hope you guys enjoyed this. And
Raquel, there are a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, there are. Oh, that didn't even pop up on my screen. Perfect, thanks. Is it worth to pay to boost posts? No. Yes and no. The boost button, in my opinion, so there's lots of different ways to do that. The boosting posts is kind of it's the consumer's version of how to do Facebook ads. It doesn't have a lot of the true capabilities that if you do your post through Ad Manager. So yes, you can do it. It does have some. Will it help? Sure. It can help. It's going to get you more visibility. But Facebook or Meta in general, they have an ads manager that is kind of the preferred way to do it. It gives you a lot more functionality and a lot more options to be able to set your content up in a much better fashion, if that makes sense. How do you link a product to a reel? So this could be a class in itself. If you are set up on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok shops, that is the supreme way to do it. It's much easier. You go in and you can tag your product. If you haven't set that up, and that also could be a class in itself, because there's a lot of changes coming to the way that Facebook and Instagram shops are going to be handled in the coming future. But you can add links, not as well on Instagram if you haven't run it as an ad and you don't have Facebook or Instagram shops turned on. It is hard. A lot of people are doing it in the captions, or they're sending them back to a link tree. So, you'll see people all the time. They're like, hey, if you're interested in this product, check out our link in bio. And that's pretty much how a lot of people are getting by setting up a link tree or adding the link to their bio. The next one, can we link a product on, oh, nope, that one we did. Can I link to my website from a reel? So again, it's kind of the same answer to that. So Facebook, yes, Facebook likes links. You can add the links, great. Instagram doesn't handle those as well. So you know, again, would just send them back to link in bio or send them over to the link tree. How do you post the reel from Canva to Instagram or Facebook? The best thing to do is to come in and just hit, there's a little share button right here. Like if you see on my screen and it says download, go in and just download it, choose, you know, the format. So this is obviously a presentation. So it's defaulting to PDF, but you can change it to be anything. So download your reel, you know, in the MP4 video, high quality, and then upload it over to that same thing that I showed just a minute ago through the content scheduler through Meta. That's the best way to post that from there. So download and then upload to the platform directly. Any other questions, or did I miss anything in here? Okay. Well, if there's any other questions that you guys think of, honestly, we will send this out at the end. Please email me. I'd love to answer questions. If there's anything, honestly, we can do, you know, to help you guys out and help you guys grow, you know, your online business, we would love the opportunity to do that. So awesome. Well, thanks you guys. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully you found this helpful. Thanks. See you guys.